It is indeed Daddy Magic joining the program. What's up, dude? How are you?
What's going on, guys? 40 years of Schiavone. Congratulations.
Matt Menard as I live and breathe.
That's right.
Wow.
Conrad, you nailed it. That's exactly why I wanted to watch the Rumble 90. It was also, I feel like Tony, you probably remember that day pretty well, right?
Yeah, sure did.
Compared to like a random Nitro or something.
Yeah, or compared to last week. Where I don't remember shit from week to week.
What's that? You don't like Montreal? You got a problem?
No. I really have to. Well, yeah. No. I man, I don't know. I guess it's
a blur,
because we do so many events. When I go back the week before, I have to go back to calendar and remind myself where we were.
Of course.
I do. I mean, I know we were in Montreal, but were we in Montreal last week? I know we've been in Pittsburgh, and how many weeks ago was that? And it's just
especially with the 2 TVs a week.
It's just a lot of stuff. It really is.
Absolutely.
Really is.
So, Tony, I'm curious. You know, I think I've heard a few different versions of this story about Royal Rumble 1990. You weren't originally supposed to call this show, right?
No, I was not, and I know what Bruce has said. And I get it. Bruce doesn't remember it as well as I do because it happened to me.
Right.
Here's the original story. It was Orlando, and Vince had gone down to Boca with his family and his friends. You know, I guess they had a boat down in Boca, probably still do, or a house down in Boca. And they just enjoyed the weekend. And so Sunday happened, and we were supposed to have a noon meeting around noon, and it didn't happen because Vince wasn't there yet. And he got there around 2:00. And I remember we were all sitting there waiting for him on the meeting, and he walked in, and he was obviously, I'm not going to say hungover, but he was bushed.
Okay.
Put it that way. He had a big weekend, right? And he was tired, and I remember him sitting down, and he went, oh, man, I'm not ready to do this show. He looked at me, he said, young man, did you bring your tux? I went, yes, sir. He said, good, you're doing the play-by-play.
How about that?
And that's how I found out I was doing the show that day, because it was going to be he and Jesse. Gorilla and Jesse had done Survivor Series. I had done SummerSlam, and after I'd done SummerSlam in '89, apparently he didn't like my commentary. So he put Gorilla in there with Jesse for Survivor Series, and he was going to do the Royal Rumble. So I was kind of on the outs as a play-by-play guy at that time, but I was. And so Vince was tired, and he didn't want to do it, and I did the show.
That really makes perfect sense.
From a show prep standpoint, you know, what would you have done had you known ahead of time you were going to be doing the show? Or was it better that you didn't know so you didn't get in your head and over prepare?
Yeah, I think it's better that I didn't know. I really think Excalibur's kind of changed the game a little bit for play-by-play guys, because he is so prepared and he knows so much that you, as a play-by-play guy, and I feel like this when I'm doing Collision, that I have to be more prepared than I've ever been, just because he has set the standard so high. And prior to that, there wasn't much preparation needed to do. I mean, if you knew the angles, right? If you knew where you were going with this, then you didn't have to talk about the past. I mean, we didn't talk that much about back in the day about, wait a minute, I got a dog fucking around here. Hang on. Okay, they're starting to play. You'll hear Lois. You're going to hear Lois scream in a minute. Goddamn Scott! Okay. I've always wondered how much preparation a play-by-play guy, if you know the angles, has to do.
Right.
Because you're just calling wrestling, and if you know the angles, you know where you're going, and you've got a good producer in your ear, and Mike Mansouri is the best producer I've ever worked with.
Wow, really? Okay.
Oh, yeah. By far. I just wonder how much prep you really need to do. I mean, I know how to call wrestling. I know where the angles are. I know where we're going. I know what the end result is on pay-per-views as far as where we're going on pay-per-views. So how much do I need to know, right? So I don't know back then if I would have prepped any more than I would have anyway. So.
Well, I'm super excited for us to watch this. It's one of my favorite Royal Rumbles. I think 1990 is 1989 and 1990 are probably my two favorite years, along with 1997. Just peak fandom for me. And as a kid, the idea that my two favorites, I mean, my wrestling existence before this Daddy Magic was, good guys versus bad guys.
That's what it is.
And so I was so used to Hulk Hogan slaying the big dragon, and he's going to take care of Kamala, or he's going to take care of Earthquake, or whatever that came his way. But good guy versus good guy, this made my 9-year-old brain melt.
It's absolutely mind blowing. The up and coming, like Warrior was so cool, right? Like as a child,
yes,
couldn't get enough of the guy, and then he's almost like he's so different from Hogan, And man, when they meet up in this match, it is absolutely electric.
So without further ado, we're ready, man. Royal Rumble 1990 coming your way. Before we click play, Tony, do you remember where this went down? Do you remember the building and the town?
Yeah, it was Orlando, Florida. It's where the Magic played back then. I don't know what it was called. I think it was called the O Arena back then, maybe. It became the Amway Arena, I think, after that.
Yes, I think it's still called the Amway Arena. But what's interesting to me is how important that building is for you. Like, it's not only your first and only Royal Rumble, but that's the building where Hogan Flair finally happened at Bash at the Beach 94. Like the most successful WCW pay-per-view of all time up to that point, both in the same building. So this building has a lot of success with you in it.
Yeah, it does. And that building's not there anymore, is it? Didn't they?
I think it's a new one.
A new one, yeah.
Yeah.
But it was a very nice building.
Boys, I have a question, though. I got to touch on this. Al Perez didn't want to be the Black Scorpion?
No,
was he doing something better?
No, he did not. Isn't that something?
What?
I don't know.
Not to pick on the guy, but.
Talk to Sting about it. Sting was like, Al, what? So
it's so bizarre.
Yeah.
I don't want the break of my life.
Yeah, it's really weird. I mean, he wound up doing some global stuff and some All Japan stuff, and it is interesting to think, like, what's the worst thing that could have happened had he done the Black Scorpion? And we know that Flair was bulletproof at that point, but what's the worst thing that could have happened from doing that?
If it's a complete failure, you just reset.
Yeah,
that's it.
I mean,
I don't know what you want.
Right? Yeah. Well, let's do it, boys and girls.
Matt Menard brings the right attitude to wrestling.
Hey, thank you. You can make anything work. You just dive in, figure it out.